On Father's Day, my daughter thought it'd be a great idea to give her father-in-law a $13,000 cruise ticket. She used my money to buy it, and all I got was a $2 lottery ticket. If I win, half is mine, she laughed. I tried to force a grin, but inside, I was boiling with anger. That ticket ended up winning me $120 million, and let's just say karma paid her a visit. She didn't get half, but got what she truly had coming. Dad, here's your gift. If you hit the jackpot, remember, half is mine. Kara smirked, tossing the lottery ticket my way during our Father's Day gathering. I picked it up, smoothing out the creases. $2. As the numbers blurred in front of me, I was trying to make sense of what just happened. Real thoughtful, sweetheart. I feigned a smile. But hold on, Kara wasn't done. The dramatic tone in her voice signaled more to come. Eric hasn't gotten his gift yet, she declared, reaching for a fancy box behind her. It looked like it cost more than my grocery bill for the week. The shiny ribbon screamed expensive as it caught the dining room's light. Eric perked up, his pricey shirt gleaming in the sun streaming through my modest windows. My daughter's father-in-law had that unmistakable ease of someone who never had to fret about finances. Kara beamed as she showed off lavish cruise tickets nestled in their fancy silk-lined box. $13,000, but Eric totally deserves this for all he's done for us, she announced. My $2 lottery ticket suddenly felt a lot smaller in my hand. Across the table, I watched Eric inspect the tickets, appreciating the gold embossing with his perfectly manicured nails. Now, that's what I call a real gift, he chimed, using that particular praise reserved for expensive items. His eyes met mine across the table, and his words lingered in the air. The room went uncomfortable as everyone became overly fascinated with their meal. Margaret, my sister, cleared her throat, and Tommy, my nephew, carefully studied his hands. Dad always said, "Actions speak louder than words," Kara added with a laugh that sliced through the air. She exchanged a glance with Eric, something unspoken passing between them that made my chest tighten. Some folks show love with grand gestures. Others, she pointed to the lottery ticket, but I held it steady despite my shaky hands. Thanks for the thought, Kara. Really. Oh, just a joke, she shrugged it off. But seriously, if you win, expect a cut. I bought it, remember? Eric joined in with a low chuckle. Maybe next year, Stephen will step up with a more generous surprise. The sunlight highlighted the strained faces around the table. Margaret froze in mid-bite. Tommy's wife, Sarah, studied the family photos on the wall like they were the Mona Lisa. Even Jake, my grandson, set his phone aside, clearly bewildered. These cruise tickets, Eric bragged, like he was showing off a royal flush, mean 2 luxury weeks on the Mediterranean. First class, private balconies, meals included, the kind of trip that creates unforgettable memories. Sounds fantastic, I nodded, struggling to keep my voice even. It absolutely is, Kara chirped. Eric's been so good to us, helped us buy our home, paid for Jake's education, even takes care of our country club fees. He deserves this. Gripping the lottery ticket tightly, memories flashed of late nights fixing cars, pulling double shifts to fund Kara's college tuition. Nights dozing off in my chair, too worn out after 16-hour workdays to even make it to bed. Well, I managed, hope you both have a great time on the cruise. We will, Eric said, carefully placing the tickets back into their box. Families should always be about generosity and respect. The conversation shifted topics, but my attention was glued to that tiny piece of paper. $2, the same sum that lit her face up with joy back when she was a child, and I'd give her ice cream money. After dinner, they left as soon as possible. The noise of car doors closing, engines rumbling to life, and their conversation fading into the evening was all that lingered. I sat at the table, holding the lottery ticket as the final beams of sunlight departed from my dining room. Before long, the house settled back into the familiar silence of my life alone. Looking around, I noticed family photos on the walls, the simple furniture I had accumulated over time, and small decorations from a past Father's Day. By my empty coffee cup sat an overlooked lottery ticket as morning light filled the kitchen. My eyes focused on the laptop, the numbers blurring as I checked my monthly bank statement, a routine I've kept up for 40 uninterrupted years. When I was a young dad, I carefully tracked every cent, and now as a cautious retiree, I tried to protect what little I had left. My eyes skimmed through expenses, bills, groceries, and what I spent on a modest Father's Day meal. Everything seemed fine until I came across a line that made my coffee taste bitter, a charge for premium travel services, $13,000. I blinked, double-checked, yet the amount stayed the same. My hands began to shake as I flipped through my calendar to double-check. A week ago, on Thursday, I hadn't stepped anywhere near a travel agency. It hit me like a brick. Kara still had authorized access to my account, a setup we made a long time ago after her mom's passing, just in case of emergencies. I'd completely forgotten. My phone felt heavy as I nervously dialed her number. Each ring echoed in the quiet kitchen, matching my racing heartbeat. "Hello, Dad." Her voice had that usual mix of politeness and mild annoyance for interrupting her busy day. "Kara, I'm going through my bank statement." I worked to keep my voice steady. "There's a $13,000 charge from premium travel services." Silence, followed by a light laugh. "Oh, that. I got Eric a cruise. He needed a nice break." Her response stung me. "You took $13,000 out without asking?" I emphasized. "I didn't take it, Dad. It was our money for a family gift," she said defensively. "You weren't going to use it. It was just sitting there anyway." "Kara, that's stealing," I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. "You stole from me." "It isn't theft when it's family money," she snapped back. "Eric has consistently supported us financially. This was like giving back to him." I gripped the phone tighter. "I'm your father, remember? I worked extra hours to pay for college." "And Eric took it from there," she cut me off. "He's shown us what real success is, what meaningful gifts are, more than just lottery tickets." Her dismissal left me speechless. This was my daughter, who once snoozed on my lap during bedtime stories, leaned on me at her mom's funeral, and called me her hero. "Dad, are you still there?" she asked. "I'm still here," I whispered. "I know you're upset, but think it through. Eric earned this. He's successful, helps our family, and deserves recognition." "And what about my efforts?" I asked. There was a pause before she spoke, colder than ever. "You did what dads do. Eric went above that." The call ended abruptly, leaving a harsh dial tone echoing in the empty kitchen. My hands trembled as I lowered the phone, hands that once cradled her as a baby, taught her to bike, and applauded at her graduation. I picked up the lottery ticket, a $2 punchline she tossed at me with money she'd taken. The irony was thick enough it almost made me laugh, but instead I crushed the ticket in my fists and threw it in the trash. It landed with a thud amidst coffee grounds and empty cans, the remains of my simple, apparently worthless life. Suddenly, the house felt like it was closing in on me, the walls pressing tighter. I felt like the walls were closing in on me, choking me. I had to get out, needed to escape from where my daughter's betrayal echoed everywhere. I grabbed my jacket and rushed out, finding comfort on the well-known paths of my neighborhood. The morning air was crisp, alive with the buzz of daily life, mowers humming, kids giggling, neighbors exchanging hellos across fences. Mrs. Patterson waved from her garden, her gentle, arthritic hands tending to her tomato plants. "Lovely morning, Stephen." "It is," I replied automatically, even though nothing felt right. I passed the Hendersons' yard, where Tom was teaching his grandson how to throw a baseball. The boy's carefree laugh reached my ears, simple and joyful. I remembered showing Kara the same thing, her tiny hands clutching the ball, her face lighting up when she got it right. When did things take this turn? When did my love become worthless and my life shameful? Those questions haunted me as I strolled down Maple Street, walking past the corner store where I used to buy Kara candy and the park where she played every summer. Now every memory seemed tainted, seen through the lens of who she'd turned into. My phone buzzed with a text. For a second, hope sparked inside me. Maybe Kara had reconsidered, realized what she'd done. "Dad, I chatted with Eric about the money. He thinks you're overreacting. It's not like you desperately needed it. We'll pay you back when we can. Maybe by Christmas. K." I froze, reading the text again and again, as if $13,000 was just spare change, like my financial security was negotiable, as if I should be grateful for the slim possibility of future repayment. Before I could type back, my phone rang. It was my sister Margaret. "Stephen, are you okay?" Kara called me. Said you were upset over some money thing. "She took $13,000 from my account, Margaret." The words came out flat, drained of emotion, used for her father-in-law's cruise. Silence then. She did what? She still had access to my account and bought Eric a $13,000 cruise for Father's Day. She handed me a $2 lottery ticket and said she'd want half the winnings. Jesus, Stephen, are you sure? Maybe there's a misunderstanding. She admitted it, claimed it wasn't really stealing because it was family money. I let out a bitter laugh, said Eric earned it for being generous to them, unlike me. Margaret's tone softened, filled with sympathy that made my chest ache. "Stephen, I'm so sorry. I never thought she'd turn out like this." "What's the word?" "Cruel," I responded simply. "She's grown cruel." We talked a bit more, with Margaret offering to come over, to speak to Kara, to help in any way she could. But nothing would change the truth my daughter revealed. How little I mattered to her, how she undervalued me. Nothing could alter that. I dragged myself back home, weighed down by an exhaustion unrelated to physical effort. The house felt different now, smaller, more run-down, infused with the kind of poverty born from someone's dismissive gaze. The trash can still held the crumpled lottery ticket, the cruel joke that sparked this nightmare. I stared at it, remembering those $2 in my hand, the laughter in Kara's voice when she tossed it to me. Tomorrow, I'd call the bank. I'd remove her access from my account, a step I should have taken long ago. But tonight, I'd sit alone in this quiet house, grieving for the daughter I'd lost, the bond that disappeared without me knowing. The lottery ticket stayed in the trash, forgotten and worthless, as I mourned something far more valuable that was already gone. But then, the morning came with the harsh clarity that only a sleepless night can bring. I sat at my kitchen table, my coffee growing cold, staring at the bank's contact number on a scrap of paper. My hands were steady at last, after a long 24 hours. "First National Bank Customer Service, this is Rebecca. How can I assist you?" "I need to cancel someone's authorized access to my account," I stated. "Someone's been purchasing things without consent." The chat was smoother than I anticipated. Rebecca's voice had a nice mix of professionalism and kindness as she talked me through the process. 15 minutes later, Kara couldn't access anything. New security measures were in place, bringing me a sense of relief I hadn't felt in years. "Anything else I can do for you today, Mr. Woods?" "Nope, that covers it, thanks." I hung up, taking in my kitchen with new eyes. My small space seemed different, authentic, not worn down, clean, belonging to me. I glanced at the trash can, remembering the lottery ticket crumpled among the coffee grounds. That silly $2 ticket, the root of all this chaos, purchased with my stolen money, thrown back at me as if I were a charity case. I approached, eyeing the crumpled paper. Even this small act was funded by money taken without my consent. The irony was darkly funny. She'd used my money to gift me something, then demanded a share of any winnings. Anger flared up suddenly as I grabbed the ticket, smoothing it out on the counter. The numbers were there: 074233542, Powerball 18. I burned them into my memory as symbols of everything wrong between me and my daughter. Then I crumpled it again, hurling it into the trash harder than necessary. The morning stretched ahead, calm and quiet. I needed to move, clear my thoughts, escape this kitchen where yesterday's betrayal clung like old smoke. I put on my jacket and headed out, my feet guiding me down the familiar streets of my neighborhood. The crisp morning air was alive with honest work sounds, lawn mowers buzzing, kids playing, neighbors exchanging hello over fences. Mrs. Patterson tended her garden again, her hands skillfully caring for her roses. She looked up as I passed, her smile warm and genuine. "Morning, Stephen. You're up early today." "Couldn't sleep," I said, stopping by her fence. "A walk felt right." She nodded, understanding. "Sometimes moving your feet helps you think." That's something your late husband used to say. Her late husband was a good man, a fellow mechanic who respected everyone and found more value in character than a full bank account. "He was right about that," I said, walking past the Henderson place where Tom was washing his car with his grandson's help. The boy was more playfully splashing than cleaning, but Tom didn't mind. Their laughter danced on the breeze, easy and real. 2 blocks away, I passed the corner market where I used to buy candy as a child. Mr. Chen, the owner, was arranging fruit in the window, meticulously positioning each apple and orange. He'd been serving our community for 30 years, quietly dignified, not wealthy, but never compromising his values. These neighbors understood something Kara missed: honesty in hard work, respect in how you treat others, and building bonds on something more lasting than money. Then my phone buzzed with a text. I felt a flicker of hope, thinking maybe Kara had rethought things, realized how her actions affected me. "Dad, I talked to Eric about the money situation. He thinks you're overreacting. It's not like it was important money. We'll pay you back sometime, maybe by Christmas. Okay?" I stopped, reading the message again, her nonchalant dismissal of what that money meant to me, assuming $13,000 didn't matter, and the vague promise of returning it someday. It hit me clear as day. This is who she is now, what I meant to her. I deleted the text without responding and kept walking. My neighborhood's familiar streets felt like a comforting blanket, filled with the sights and sounds of people living honest lives. Whatever came next, I'd face it my own way, dignity intact. The trash at home still held the crumpled, forgotten lottery ticket, useless, while I pressed on, head high. 3 days passed since I took control of my finances. 3 calm mornings with coffee, simple meals, and the comfort of knowing you've made the right choice. I was in the middle of making scrambled eggs when the phone rang, shattering my calm. "Dad, what did you do to my card?" Kara's voice exploded before I could speak. "It got declined at Nordstrom. Do you know how embarrassing that was?" I set my spatula down calmly. My hand was strangely steady. "I revoked your access after you withdrew $13,000 from my account." "I didn't steal anything," she said, her pitch rising like it always does when she fibs. "That money was for family, for someone who actually cares about us. You didn't ask me first, Kara. You just took it." I could hear the sound of shopping bags rustling and a mall's buzz in the background. She had called me right from the parking lot after whatever embarrassment she'd just faced. "I was holding an $800 handbag," she said. "An $800 handbag, Dad. The clerk ran my card 3 times before announcing to everyone that it was declined. People were staring at me like I couldn't afford it." Her tone, the way she said, "regular person," made it sound like not splurging on expensive bags was a failing. "I'm sorry you felt that way," I said softly. "But it doesn't excuse what you did." Her response was sharp, lacking warmth. "What I did?" "I treated Eric with the respect he deserves, something you never learned," she added, accusing. I moved to the kitchen table, where her wrongdoing had come to light just a few days before. "Kara, I raised you, worked 60-hour weeks to get you through college. I thought that meant something. And Eric has helped us rise above all that, she fired back. He's shown us what real success and real generosity are, not hoarding like a miser. Her words hit me hard. I had spent 40 years saving carefully, buying store brands, and driving used cars to support the family. And that's the image she had of me? You'll regret this, Dad, she said in a new, chilling tone. You think you can embarrass me like this without consequences? Kara, I'm trying to safeguard what's mine, not hurt you, I tried to explain. No, you're being selfish and cruel, she accused, each word a blow. But I'll make sure there's a price to pay. I have friends, Dad. Influential friends who understand loyalty. With a click, she hung up, leaving the kitchen filled with silence. By the time I picked up the spatula, the eggs were cold. Reheated, they were tasteless. That night, I attempted to distract myself, flipping through TV channels without really watching. There was a documentary on wolves, a fancy dessert being made on a cooking show, and a news segment on economic policies that seemed far removed from my life. My tablet lay untouched on the coffee table, having avoided social media and resisted checking up on Kara. But curiosity got the better of me eventually. I logged into Facebook, browsing through updates from neighbors and cousin vacation photos. Then I found it. Kara's post was right at the top, her expression heartbroken with skillfully applied tears. It pains me to write this, but I need your support, she typed. My father has revoked my access to what has always been our family funds. After years of supporting him after Mom's death and managing his affairs, he's decided I'm unworthy of trust. All because I bought Eric a present with money that was just sitting there. Never thought my own father could be so selfish. I'm questioning all I thought I knew about him. The post had already received 47 likes and 23 comments. Reading the sympathetic replies made my stomach twist. OMG, Kara, I'm so sorry, one friend wrote. Older people can really get uptight about money. Your dad should be grateful for having you as a daughter. This is awful. Eric deserved that gift. Your dad's being unreasonable. Family money should benefit everyone. Hang in there, sweetie. I turned off the tablet and sat alone in the dimly lit living room, listening to the house's groans. In the kitchen, trash was that crumpled lottery ticket, a $2 joke that showed what I really meant to my daughter. The following night found me in the same chair, flipping through channels again, thoughts tangled in how social media had hijacked the day. Neighbors were starting to avoid me, and the grocery cashier eyed me suspiciously. Kara's story was spreading fast, and my reputation was taking a beating without a chance to defend myself. Click. The TV showed a cooking show on fancy French desserts. Click. An old 90s sitcom was playing, one I'd seen countless times. Click. The local news was on, talking about city budget issues. Click. And there it was, the state lottery program. Good evening, Ohio. Welcome to tonight's Powerball draw with a 12 million rollover jackpot, the announcer chimed in. I almost changed channels again, but the bubbly announcer's voice caught my attention. It hit me how strange it was. Here I was, considered stingy for saving my pennies, while someone else was on the verge of winning more money than I'd ever dared to imagine. And tonight's winning numbers are, she announced dramatically, 7, 14, 23, 35, 42, and the Powerball is 18. I froze with the remote in my hand. The numbers felt eerily familiar. I grabbed a pen from the table and quickly scribbled them on an envelope as the announcer repeated, 7, 14, 23, 35, 42, Powerball, 18. My heart pounded as the realization hit me. I knew those numbers by heart, having memorized them out of sheer irritation. I had tossed that lottery ticket in the trash in a fit of anger 3 days ago. Shaky-legged, I headed to the kitchen. The trash can sat there, quietly holding coffee grounds, empty cans, and scraps. I plunged my hands inside, sorting through banana peels and soaked paper towels to find that small piece of paper. Eventually, I found it stuck to a yogurt container right at the bottom. I carefully pulled it out, washing it under the tap before unfolding it with nervous fingers. 7, 14, 23, 35, 42, Powerball 18. It was all there. I collapsed into a chair, staring dumbstruck at the worn ticket. That $2 joke from Kara, bought with my own pilfered money with her claim of half, had just become worth $120 million. With shaky hands, I dialed the lottery hotline and navigated the automated prompts to verify the numbers. The voice confirmed what I knew. Tonight's winning Powerball numbers are 7, 14, 23, 35, 42, with Powerball 18. The jackpot amount is $120 million. I hung up and glanced around my cramped kitchen with fresh eyes. The old appliances, the peeling linoleum, the humble table at which I ate alone, everything suddenly felt surreal, as if I were about to trade this setting for something completely new. The ticket lay on the table, still damp from its rescue, telling its own tale of being angrily tossed aside. Kara's words echoed, "If you win, half is mine." That night, sleep barely came. I kept checking the lottery ticket, convinced it must be a mistake, a mirage conjured by isolation and stress. But the numbers hadn't changed, and the ticket, even after its time in the trash, was undeniably real. Downtown Columbus, home to the Ohio Lottery Commission's offices, was grander than I'd pictured. The sleek glass and steel building stood tall under the gray March sky, security officers dotting the scene, all business. I clutched the ticket in a plastic sleeve, with a clammy hand, despite the cool morning air. "Mr. Woods?" Janet Chen, a lottery official, greeted me, her smile professional as she scrutinized the rumpled ticket. "Quite a tale you've got here. Found it in the trash?" "I threw it away in anger," I admitted. "It was a Father's Day gift from my daughter, but things were complicated." Janet gave me a knowing nod without saying much, passing the ticket through a sophisticated scanner. "We see all kinds of stories here," she remarked. "It's all about verification, and I'm delighted to tell you, Mr. Woods, that this ticket is indeed a winner." Her words echoed in the sterile office. I clung to my chair for fear of floating away. "However," she continued, "verifying prizes of this size takes about 48 hours. We need to authenticate the ticket with numerous security checks, complete legal paperwork, and arrange the payout." Dazed, I nodded through a whirlwind of signing forms, presenting ID, and absorbing endless details about taxes, payout options, and publicity protocols. By the time I left the lottery office, my mind was overwhelmed with numbers and legalese. Something was crystal clear. I was now sitting on a fortune of $120 million. As I drove home, the streets I knew like the back of my hand suddenly felt foreign. The little neighborhood grocery, Mrs. Patterson's roses, and the school where Kara first learned her ABCs all seemed unchanged. But here I was, an outsider looking in on my own life. I was barely home an hour when Kara's car zipped into my driveway. She barged in without knocking, her eyes gleaming with excitement and determination. "Dad, I heard about the lottery. Someone at work knows somebody at the commission. Your name is on the winner's list." I was at the kitchen table, lottery papers spread out before me like pieces of evidence. "Hey, Kara," I said. "Forget hi," she shot back, positively buzzing. "Do you even get what this means? We're millionaires. Remember what I said? Half is mine." "That was meant to be a gift, Kara," I said, trying to keep calm. "You can't just grab a gift back." Her excitement turned to something more intense. "We had a deal. Everyone at dinner heard me. Real live witnesses, Dad." "You tossed that ticket at me like you were getting rid of trash," I noted quietly. "And you used money taken straight from my account. This never had anything to do with sharing." "Taken?" she echoed, voice rising. "I used family money for a family purpose. Now you're saying you'll cheat me out of what's rightfully mine?" I really looked at her and realized I was staring at someone I hardly knew. The little girl who once cuddled up for bedtime tales turned into someone who, on hearing about my windfall, only thought of what slice was hers. "The ticket was my gift," I insisted. "Whatever agreement or promise you think there was, it became mine when you gave it to me." "I'll sue you," she hissed, pounding the table hard enough to make the papers flutter. "I'll prove it was mine. I'll drag you through court so everyone can see what kind of man you turned out to be." "And what kind is that, Kara?" I asked softly. She hesitated, her chest heaving with anger. For a split second, something like recognition, or maybe shame, flickered in her eyes, but it was quickly replaced with icy determination. "The kind who steals from his own daughter," she snapped, before storming out as dramatically as she'd entered. Her words lingered like smoke. I heard her engine roar as she drove away, leaving me to stare back at the official letter announcing the $120 million win. More money than I could spend in countless lifetimes. Yet, all I felt was utterly drained. I woke up to my phone buzzing incessantly on the nightstand. 15 missed calls, 12 texts, and a storm of social media notifications. Handling my churning stomach, these notifications hit me before I even fully woke up, the first Facebook post popping up at 6:47 a.m. Right as people sipped their morning coffee and scrolled through the day's headlines, it scandalously proclaimed, "My dad swiped my winning lottery ticket. He's keeping the entire jackpot for himself. This is the man who cut me off from family money and humiliated me. The ticket was meant for him with the expectation we'd share the win. Seems like elderly folks can be so money-hungry they hurt their own kids. Share this widely. People need to see the truth of what's happening." Attached was a picture from the last Christmas, me looking serious in my holiday sweater. Comments quickly piled up, spreading like wildfire online. And Kara wasn't stopping. Her Instagram showcased a tearful video of her in her car, mascara streaked as she poured out her heart to the camera. "I don't normally air family stuff, but I'm desperate now. My dad flat out stole my lottery ticket, claiming the whole $120 million for himself. I bought it for him as a Father's Day present. Sure," I jokingly said. "Half's mine because family shares, right?" Instead, he saw it as a challenge from his daughter rather than a token of love. Eric hopped onto LinkedIn and Facebook, adding his professional take on it. Witnessing elder financial abuse is tough, but reverse elder abuse messes up families just as much. When greed pushes elderly folks to betray the trust of their kids, it's a loss for everyone. My wife's heartbroken by her father's selfishness. The ticket was a gift with a clear spoken arrangement. Steve acts like he owns everything even when agreements are in place to share. This kind of behavior splits families and hurts neighborhoods. Then, Margaret called me up. She needed answers. "Stephen, what's happening?" "My neighbor rang about you supposedly taking Carrara's lottery ticket. It's all over social media," she continued. I tried clarifying, but it only got more confusing. "Yeah, Kara bought it and joked about sharing, but I'm the one who won. I didn't think I owed her anything," I said. Margaret calmly pointed out, "But Stephen, she got it for you." "Not to mention she used my money to buy it," I explained. By noon, the whole issue blew up online in our little community. Local Facebook was filled with arguments about family loyalty, the law, and what's right. The neighborhood app buzzed with heated talks about the lottery winner from Maple Street being greedy. I made the mistake of reading through the comments on Carrara's posts. "This is awful. How could a father do this? He deserves legal action. It's theft. I know the family. Kara's always been generous, and he's had money issues. Totally on Kara's side. He shouldn't keep his daughter's winnings," a post read. Eric's colleagues quickly got involved too, sharing posts about family values and financial morality. Even lifelong friends publicly took Kara's side. Frustrated, I closed my laptop and looked out my kitchen window at the neighborhood I'd lived in for 3 decades. 3 neighbors stood by my mailbox, clearly gossiping. They scattered like guilty kids caught in the act when they saw me watching. A message hit my phone from an unknown number. "Channel 6 wants to talk about the lottery issue. Can you call?" it read. Then a text from the Columbus Dispatch popped up, asking for comments on our family dispute, and another one, offering free legal help for lottery ticket issues. I shut the phone off and just sat there in my quiet kitchen, surrounded by the lottery papers that felt like debris from my own regret. Outside, neighbors whispered and speculated, judging me through social media and by avoiding me in person. It hit me hard, all that supposed $120 million wealth, yet I felt so empty and alone. The morning light streamed in through the kitchen window as I laid out screenshots of Kara's social media blow-up like I was prepping evidence for court. Each comment, every share, more support seemed like it was hammering the final nail into what was left of my reputation. My coffee turned cold as I watched my character get torn apart online. The sudden ring of my landline's old-school bell broke the intense quiet. The caller ID showed an unfamiliar but businesslike number. "Mr. Woods, this is William Johnson, Eric's father," the voice said, calm and professional, obviously honed by years of corporate navigation. He then added, "I think we should talk," and I stiffened, gripping the phone tighter. "Not sure what's there to discuss, Mr. Johnson," I replied. "Oh, there's plenty," he said after a brief silence. "Could we meet at Murphy's Diner on 5th Street in an hour?" Murphy's was a cozy spot, known for its Saturday morning breakfasts, not a place Eric would frequent. "May I ask why?" I asked. "The lottery," William said plainly, "and what I saw on Father's Day." My heart raced. "You were there?" "Yes, I was. Let's chat in an hour," he responded before hanging up, leaving me staring at the phone, baffled. An invitation from Eric's dad about the lottery ticket meant bad news. Were they preparing for a legal fight, or was he trying to get me to settle with Kara? I almost ditched the idea, but my curiosity got the best of me. Murphy's Diner, a staple for over 50 years, was all about red vinyl booths and checkered floors, with coffee that would wake anyone up. Spotted William immediately. His sharp navy suit was like a peacock among the usual crowd in that humble cafe. He stood as I walked over, offering a firm, well-practiced handshake. "Mr. Woods, thanks for coming," he said, as we slid into a booth by the window, sunlight highlighting the deep lines around his eyes. Dolores, the friendly waitress who's been around since I hit my 40s, poured us coffee without us saying a word. "I saw the whole gift exchange on Father's Day." William jumped right in. "Every word, every move. Your daughter gave you that lottery ticket and called it your Father's Day gift." I watched him closely, searching for any sign of deceit. "She's claiming we agreed to split the winnings," he said with a serious expression. "That's not true. She just tossed that ticket with a sarcastic chuck. No talk, no deal. It was purely a gift." William took out his phone, navigating through Facebook like a pro. "What Eric and Kara are up to is really wrong," he said. "They're ruining your reputation with falsehoods." "But you're Eric's dad," I pointed out cautiously. "Why take a stand against your own son?" He let out a bitter laugh. "Because I raised him to have values, and he's completely off track. This lottery mess has shown me something troubling about him." He turned his phone so I could see it, revealing a heartfelt Facebook post he was working on. "I'm about to clear things up. My name means something here, Mr. Woods. People trust that I'm honest in business matters, and this is just that, an issue of legal rights and ethical integrity." I peeked as he fine-tuned his post. "Being at the Father's Day gathering at Stephen Wood's place, I feel I need to speak up. I saw Kara Johnson buy that lottery ticket and give it to her dad as a Father's Day gift. There was zero conversation about any deal. The ticket's rightfully Mr. Woods, and any winnings are his. This whole social media uproar is built on lies, and I can't stay silent while my own family drags down an honest man." "You really don't have to do this," I said. "Oh, but I do," William murmured, his finger hovering over the post button. "My son needs a wake-up call about honor. A bit of public shame might do it," he said, hitting the button. His phone blew up with notifications instantly, and soon the Columbus business crowd started chiming in. These were folks who respected William for his honesty. "This changes everything," I sighed, watching opinions shift right before us. William put his phone away and looked at me. "Mr. Woods, I've built my business on integrity, and I can't let my son wreck that with dishonesty. We drank our coffee quietly. As life continued its usual Saturday pace, families ordered pancakes, older couples shared the newspaper, and teens texted, ignoring parents trying to chat. Life continued normally, even though everything felt different for me. "Truth has a funny way of surfacing," William eventually said. "It just needs someone to say it." We shook hands outside the diner, his grip strong and reassuring. As he went to his sharp black Mercedes, I lingered by my simple car, feeling something new. Hope. 2 weeks later, the call I'd been waiting for came. "Mr. Woods, this is Janet Chen from the Ohio Lottery Commission. Your verification is finalized, and we'd like to invite you to our formal check presentation tomorrow morning." "A ceremony?" I asked, surprised by how big it all seemed. "You can choose between a private and public ceremony. With all the attention, we thought a public one might suit you." I thought of the hushed gossip, the odd looks at the stores, and neighbors dodging eye contact. "Yes, a public ceremony is perfect." "Great," she said, sounding pleased. 10 a.m. at our Columbus headquarters. Dress nicely, as the media will be there. And Mr. Woods, congratulations. This is going to transform your life." That night, I took out my finest attire. The navy suit I hadn't worn since my wife's funeral 8 years ago, a spotless white shirt, and the tie my daughter Kara had given me 5 Christmases past, before everything started to unravel. As I stepped into the lottery office, the place buzzed with life. TV crews adjusted their lighting, photographers sought the perfect shot, and clipboard-carrying officials rushed around like we were on a movie set. "Mr. Woods," Janet Chen greeted me warmly, "are you ready to be a millionaire?" The event was more elaborate than I'd expected, complete with a backdrop sporting the Ohio Lottery logo, a giant check that needed 2 people to hold, and camera flashes bright enough to light up a stadium. When Janet announced me as the winner of the $120 million jackpot, the applause felt surreal. "This is quite the surprise," I said into the microphone, my voice calm and steady. "I intend to use this blessing wisely, to assist others, finally chase some old dreams, and live a life of dignity." Reporters bombarded me with questions: how it felt, my future plans, whether I'd quit my job. I stayed honest, focusing on gratitude and responsibility instead of the family troubles that had led me here. Then, through the throng of reporters, I saw them, Kara and Eric pushing through, Kara's face a mix of determination and desperation. She wore a dress fit for a fancy event, likely costing more than 1 month of my pension. "Stop!" she yelled, her voice piercing the professional facade. "That ticket is mine. We had an agreement." Security began to intervene, but Kara's accusation lingered, drawing the cameras, which moments before had been pointed at me and the oversized check. Now, those lenses focused on the unfolding drama. "Ma'am, please step away from the ceremony," a security guard instructed her resolutely. "But—" I met Kara's eyes, feeling more at peace than I had in ages. "Kara, please not here," I said. But she wasn't thinking straight, her arms waving wildly as Eric tried to restrain her. "That ticket was mine. I said half was mine. Everyone at that dinner knows it." A reporter extended a microphone toward me. "Mr. Woods, care to comment on this family dispute?" I stayed composed and replied, "The ticket was a Father's Day gift from my daughter." I spoke clearly, even as chaos swirled around us. Mr. William Johnson, who attended the dinner, can vouch for how the gift came about. That's all there is to it. Another reporter inquired, "What will you do with the winnings?" With Kara's protests echoing nearby, I considered all the deceit and betrayal over the past months, how I'd supported her bad choices all those years under the guise of love. "I plan to help those who truly deserve it," I declared. "I want to launch a business I've always dreamed of and aim to live with the integrity that this fortune demands." The ceremony ended with formal handshakes and paperwork. Kara and Eric were still squabbling by their BMW outside in the parking lot. Eric's gestures grew more animated, his voice rising to match hers. Holding the oversized check and the documents confirming my newfound wealth, I made my way to my car. As I drove off, I glanced back at them in the rearview mirror, still arguing beside their luxury vehicle, their relationship strained under the weight of their own greed. For the first time in a long while, a genuine smile graced my face. The next morning, as I read a newspaper article about my lottery win, I heard a car door slam shut outside. Peering through the window, I saw Kara walking up the driveway. Her aggressive demeanor from the day before had vanished. Her steps were slow and hesitant, her shoulders slumped in defeat. Instead of barging in, she knocked gently on the door, 3 soft taps that almost seemed like an apology. When I opened the door, her eyes were red and puffy from crying. Her expensive clothes were wrinkled, as if she'd slept in them. "Dad, can we talk, please?" Even though a lot had happened, my parental instincts kicked in. "Come on in, Kara." She trailed behind me to the living area, barely settling on the couch like she might run off any second. Her hands fidgeted nervously on her lap as she absorbed the humble room that once was her childhood sanctuary. "I'm really sorry about yesterday," she whispered, consumed by emotion. "I got overwhelmed and scared. My head wasn't in the right place." Suddenly, tears trickled down her cheeks, like an actress delivering a practiced scene. "Eric's been hounding me for money. Our financial mess is way worse than I've let on. I didn't know who else to turn to." I leaned back in my chair, keeping a bit of distance. "What sort of financial bind are you in, Kara?" "We're on the verge of losing our house," her voice wavered. "The mortgage, credit cards, Eric's failing business, it's all crashing down. We owe close to $400,000, and the foreclosure process has started." She poured out tales of sleepless nights, panic attacks, and the fake front they'd kept while their world crumbled. Eric's investment firm was going under, bleeding clients and cash. Yet, they clung to their unaffordable country club membership and forked out private school fees for Jake that drained them dry. "I was too embarrassed to ask for help before," she confessed, dabbing her tears with a tissue. "Eric's so proud. He'd be humiliated if he knew I was pleading for money from my father." Her story unfolded, a performance I now saw with sharp clarity, reminiscent of the tactics she used as a teenager: tears, helplessness, and appeals to my instinct to protect. "You were always there for me in the past," she said, reaching for my hand. "I just need a little help this one last time to save our house and get us stable again." "How much money are we talking about, Kara?" $2 million would solve everything," she shot back, as if she had rehearsed the sum. "I know it sounds huge, but it's really not compared to—" Even if I agreed to her request, I'd still be sitting on more than $100 million. Her blunt demand left me speechless. She casually asked for $2 million, an amount that would have taken me 40 years to earn in the past, like she was simply borrowing $20 for gas. "Kara," I gently spoke, "promises like these aren't new." She seemed puzzled. "What do you mean?" she inquired. "You took $13,000 from me without telling me. You embarrassed me online. You even tried to grab my lottery ticket by force," I stated, remaining calm. "Now you're asking for $2 million. "This situation is different," she insisted, tears streaming more desperately now. "I was wrong before, I know that. But if we lose this, we lose everything, Dad. Our home, our lifestyle, Jake's education." "You've got to start managing your own problems," I countered, my words hanging between us more like a challenge than a comfort. Some part of Kara shifted. The fragile facade dropped, showing a tougher side beneath. "Are you seriously going to make this choice?" she cut back, her voice gaining a sharper intensity. "You're just going to let me and your grandson lose everything while you hoard $100 million? I care about you, Kara, but I can't support these choices of yours anymore." She jumped up and started pacing around the window. Fine, but don't expect to be in Jake's life from here on. No holiday visits, No family dinners, no calls for his high school graduation. Her words poked right at my fears of being isolated and losing family ties. No grandkids at my funeral, no bonds with future family generations. Just an old man left alone because he refused to spend money. If that's the path you choose, I said softly, I'll have to live with it. This caught her off guard. She stood there stunned, staring at me, realizing her old tricks had lost their power. You've changed, she remarked with a cold edge. Having money has made you heartless. No, Kara. Having money has given me freedom. Without another word, she stormed out, her footsteps echoing as she left. I watched her drive off, the tires screeching loudly. Turning away from the window, I took in the tranquility of my home, feeling a mix of sadness and peace. The little girl who used to fall asleep in my lap was gone, replaced by someone I no longer recognized and couldn't save. I headed to the kitchen, brewed myself some tea, feeling calm and purposeful. For the first time in years, my home finally felt truly serene. 3 months later, there I was in my bare living room, phone in hand, while the movers hauled away the final boxes. I pulled up Kara's contact and hit block. Sometimes, once a bridge is burnt, it's best left that way. The drive to Dayton took about 2 hours, winding through beautiful countryside. In this new place, I'd just be Stephen Woods, the newcomer, not the guy who hit the lottery jackpot. My new home sat on a calm street, a solid 3-hour drive from Columbus, far enough to keep unexpected visitors at bay. Henderson's classic car garage had been up for sale for months. Stepping into it, with the scent of motor oil and polish in the air, I realized this was my calling. "Sure you want this much work?" Tom Henderson asked, gesturing to the project cars scattered around. "Most folks your age are thinking about slowing down." I ran a hand over a '67 Mustang's fender. "I'm just getting started." A week later, Henderson's transformed into Woods' classic auto restoration. I hired 3 local mechanics and launched the supporting Single Fathers Foundation, inspired by my own challenges after losing my wife. Evenings in Dayton were peaceful. I could wander around without whispers trailing me. The local diner served coffee without anyone gossiping about my life. "How's the settling in?" my neighbor Helen asked, offering homemade cookies. "It's quiet here, but we watch out for each other." "Quiet's what I was hoping for," I replied. The shop became my refuge. Working with young mechanics, I found joy in fixing things with my hands rather than my wallet. We fully restored a 1955 Chevrolet. When the owner saw it, tears welled up, and I got why. Sometimes Kara popped into my thoughts, but it didn't sting anymore. Winning the lottery hadn't changed me. It peeled back layers of complacency, revealing my true self. Occasionally, I'd get calls from numbers I didn't recognize, likely from her, but I'd ignore them. On Thursday, after wrapping up the restoration of a '69 Camaro, I shut the shop and hit the road. Driving past the community center, I glanced at my foundation's plaque, helping families stay strong through tough times. I paused to look at the emerging stars. Kara was somewhere out there, dealing with her choices. I was focused on creating something meaningful. Each car I revived, each grant the foundation offered, meant a world valuing who you are over who you know. The lottery ticket sat framed in my office now, not as a bragging piece, but as a reminder that life's greatest gifts sometimes come in ugly wrapping, and its hardest lessons often hide in pain.